What if the man who promised to drain the swamp ended up flooding it with his own hot air, leaving even his staunchest allies gasping for breath? Picture this. Bill O'Reilly, the grizzled fox who once prowled Fox News like a predator in pinstripes, now turning on Donald Trump, not with a whisper, but with a roar that echoes the fury of voters tired of empty promises and exploding grocery bills. In a plot twist juicier than a tabloid scandal, O'Reilly, the guy Trump once defended amid harassment headlines as a good person, just eviscerated the MAGA messiah on national TV, blaming him for a Democratic sweep that turned red states blue and left Republicans scrambling like rats on a sinking yacht. And here's the kicker. If a fossil like O'Reilly is jumping ship, how long before the whole armada mutinies against the captain who's steering straight into an iceberg of incompetence? America, wake up and smell the $36 cheeseburger, because that's what it costs these days in La La Land, courtesy of Trump's tariff tantrums and economic voodoo. Not since the Great Depression has a president so gleefully presided over a pocketbook apocalypse, all while golfing in Mar-a-Lago and tweeting threats like a petulant teen denied his allowance. This isn't leadership. It's a bad sequel to The Wolf of Wall Street, where the wolf isn't charming Leonardo DiCaprio, but a spray-tanned septuagenarian whose biggest deal is hawking Bibles and beefsteaks to the rubes he claims to champion. Buckle up, patriots. We're diving deep into the dumpster fire of Trump 2.0, where broken promises pile higher than the national debt, and even conservative icons like O'Reilly are shouting, "Enough!" from the rooftops. This is the satire America needs, sharp as a switchblade, funny as a funeral, and twice as inevitable. Let's set the scene, shall we? It's Friday night on HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher, that liberal lion's den where conservatives go to get filleted like fresh salmon. Enter Bill O'Reilly, the erstwhile king of cable news, ousted in 2017 amid a blizzard of sexual harassment settlements that made Harvey Weinstein look like a choir boy. Trump, ever the loyalist to his own kind of sleaze, rode to O'Reilly's rescue back then, bleating on Fox that, "I don't think Bill did anything wrong." Fast forward to November 7th, 2025, and the tables have turned faster than a reality TV plot twist. There sits O'Reilly, flanked by Democratic Representative Jared Moskowitz and Maher himself, trading barbs like prize fighters in a verbal cage match. The audience laps it up, applauding when Maher zings, "I'm still on the air and you're not," a delicious reminder of O'Reilly's Fox flameout. Moskowitz, that quick-witted Floridian, slides in with a tape measure quip that sails right over the crowd's heads. But the real haymaker comes when the chat swerves to Tuesday's electoral bloodbath. O'Reilly, no stranger to spinning yarns for the right-wing faithful, unleashes on Trump with the ferocity of a man who's finally read the room, or at least the exit polls. "The reason that the Democrats won is because people were angry," he growls, his voice gravelly from decades of demagoguery. "They are angry because there were promises made by President Trump to lower food prices and gas prices." Cut to O. Riley griping about a $36 cheeseburger in LA, a price tag that could buy a whole cow in flyover country, or so he claims, ignoring that his place I'm staying is probably some swanky suite comped by HBO. But the point lands like a gut punch. Voters aren't buying Trump's bluster anymore. Gas might be dipping 20-25% in some spots, thanks to global supply, not Oval Office sorcery, but food? Up and away, with groceries climbing 2.7% year over year as of September 2025, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Eggs, bread, meat, essentials turned luxuries under the Trump tariff regime that slapped import duties on everything from Canadian lumber to Chinese widgets, jacking up costs for the very forgotten Americans he pretends to fight for. Maher, ever the provocateur, piles on, my takeaway. If you were a Republican running on Tuesday, you had no chance because people wanted to send a message. And the message is, we just keep asking for normal and nobody ever gives it to us. Biden? Too left. Trump? Too tyrannical, too drunk with power, as Maher puts it, with his nasty tweets, vengeful vendettas, and an economy that's wheezing like an asthmatic chain smoker. O'Reilly nods along, admitting the incumbency losses every time when folks are pissed about their wallets, harking back to John Adams like some dusty history prof. But let's be real, this isn't ancient civics. It's a fresh indictment of Trump's Carnival Barker con artistry. He stormed the White House in January 2025, vowing immediate price drops starting on day one, only to deliver a mixed bag of half-truths. Eggs down 23% from bird flu rebounds. Sure, but bacon, coffee, and dairy up 5.11%. Electricity bills spiking to 17.62 cents per kilowatts. Gasoline? Flat since inauguration with any dips owed to OPEC plus pumps. Not Trump's energy dominance fairy tale. The satire writes itself. O'Reilly, the guy who once bragged about brainstorming with Trump to manipulate the masses, now exposing the emperor's wardrobe malfunction. It's like watching Godzilla turn vegan and lecture King Kong on portion control. Trump's response? Crickets from Mar-a-Lago, where he's probably rage-tweeting about fake news burgers, while aides scramble to spin the shutdown as Schumer's fault. But O'Reilly's hammer drop isn't isolated. It's the crack in the MAGA dam, a conservative conscience, however belated, crying uncle. As Maher quips later, calling O'Reilly a cheap FK over his burger beef, the real cheapness is Trump's betrayal of the working stiffs who bought his snake oil. Emotional charge? This stings like salt in a wound. America's heartland heroes promised prosperity, now rationing ramen while El Presidente golfs with Elon Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. What was billed as a sleepy off-year snoozer erupted into a Democratic tsunami that drowned Republican hopes from sea to shining sea. Virginia, that purple battleground Trump flipped red in 24, went full blue, Abigail Spanberger trouncing winsome Earl Sears by double digits, flipping every single county more Democratic than in 2021. New Jersey? Mickey Sherrill steamrolls Jack Ciattarelli, the Trump toady who leaned into MAGA bravado, only to sink under the weight of canceled Gateway Tunnel funds. A petty Trump payback for Dem shutdown resistance. New York City? Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist firebrand, storms to mayor's victory, leaving Curtis Sliwa and Andrew Cuomo's comeback carcass in the dust. Trump, in a pre-election panic, urged New Yorkers to pick Cuomo because you really have no choice, only for voters to scream, socialism over sleaze. California seals the route with Prop 50 passing handily, a redistricting shield against Trump's gerrymandering wet dream in Texas and beyond. Exit polls paint a damning portrait, 55% in Jersey, 56% in Virginia, 69% in NYC, 63% in Cali, disapproved of Trump. Affordability topped the bill of grievances, voters hammering Republicans on the economy, with Dems campaigning on combating Trump's attacks on federal funding and freezing utilities. Trump's approval? A dismal 37%, per Gallup's grim ledger, tanking faster than his first-term poll numbers after Charlottesville. Irony alert. The man who crowed about a massive mandate in 24 now watches his party hemorrhage seats, blaming everything but the mirror. Trump wasn't on the ballot and shut down, he whines on Truth Social. As if his absence is a feature, not a fatal flaw, vividly, imagine the watch parties. MAGA diehards in red hats. Faces paling as Spanberger's lead swells like a bad hangover. Ciattarelli's crew clutching Trump 2024 signs, muttering about mail-in fraud while Sherrill's victory speech thunders about economic relief. In NYC, Mamdani's triumph sparks street parties rivaling '08 Obama nights, with Trump fulminating from Florida. And so it begins. A threat to slash NYC funds that's less tough guy, more tantrum-throwing toddler. Satirical gold. Trump's economic miracle boasts hours after polls close, claiming victory in a rout that's anything but. This isn't a blip. It's a bellwether. Off years favor the out party, sure, but this sweep, flipping deep red precincts that went Trump in 24, signals a post-Trump GOP purgatory. Voters didn't just reject candidates. They rebuked the chaos. Shutdowns, starving SNAP benefits, tariffs turning tacos into treasures, a White House more focused on ballrooms than breadlines. Emotional fury boils. These are working families, not wonks. Moms skipping milk, dads delaying doctor visits, all while Trump golfs amid gilded excess. The message? Normalcy over narcissism. Sanity over the sideshow. Tariffs. The Trumpian talisman waved like a magic wand to bring jobs back, only to conjure higher prices and hollow factories. Since April 2025, when he slapped 60% duties on imports from China, Mexico, and the EU, the blowback has been biblical. S&P Global pegs an extra $1.2 trillion in corporate costs for 25, trickling down to consumers like acid rain. Groceries? Up 2.7% year-wide, with meats, coffee, and sweets surging 11.6%. A dozen eggs might have dipped post-bird flu, but your Morning Joe now costs a king's ransom. Cassie in North Carolina, a 25-year-old consultant scraping by on $65 weekly grocery budgets, tells The Guardian she's priced out of Walmart, her routine shattered by tariff-fueled spikes that hit faster than pandemic creep. Harris, a teacher's aide in Stella, NC, echoes the agony. Nearly 40 Americans shared tales of slashed carts, swapped staples for scraps, all while Trump threatens 100% China tariffs by November's end. Sarcasm drips. Trump's supply-side policies taming Biden's inflation, per White House hack Kush Desai, is peak delusion, like claiming a chainsaw starts forest fires. Gas hovers flat, electricity climbs, and 70% of Americans report higher grocery tabs year over year per Axios polls, blaming Trump by a 61-39 margin. Nielsen IQ warns some prices stay elevated through mid-26, thanks to Trump's trade war redux. Economists like Diane Swank at KPMG finger tariffs and immigration crackdowns, deporting farm workers who pick your produce, as the culprits, not some Biden ghost. Irony overload. The forgotten man now forgets what affordable feels like. While Trump peddles $99 God bless the USA Bibles to fund his legal fees. Rhetorical flair demands we paint the picture. Envision a Rust Belt diner, once bustling with steelworkers, now hushed as a widow tallies coupons for canned soup that's up 8%. Her son, a gig economy ghost, skips shifts to protest vanishing SNAP amid the shutdown. Trump's big-hearted ploy to gut Obamacare for health savings accounts that save nothing for the poor. Bernie Sanders blasted as farce. Trump and Republicans can't stand how the big bad insurance companies are ripping off Americans. Really? This is Trump's deal of the century. Screwing the little guy to feather billionaire nests, with Elon Musk and Jared Kushner high-fiving over tax cuts that balloon the deficit to $36 trillion, the contradictions compound. Trump rails against communism post-election, yet his policies enrich oligarchs at proletarian expense, echoing the very crony capitalism he decries. Gas down dramatically, he lies on 60 Minutes, ignoring that declines predate his term and tariffs threaten rebound. It's Biden's playbook of denial redux, focusing on GDP gloss while ignoring grocery gloom. Emotional indictment. These aren't stats. They're stories of despair, families fractured by fiscal fiction, begging for a leader who leads, not leeches. Layer on the longest shutdown in U.S. history, now eclipsing Trump's 2018-19 farce, and you've got a recipe for Republican revolt. As of November 9, 2025, federal workers furloughed, airports snarled, and SNAP benefits teetering on a cliff, Hakeem Jeffries accuses Trump of weaponizing hunger. Funds exist for November food stamps, yet Trump dithers prioritizing a $300 million White House ballroom over bread for the broke. Mark Wayne Mullen posts Oval Office selfies captioned "Working" through the weekend with President Donald J. Trump, but it's performative pathos. GOP senators like Lindsey Graham and Rick Scott cheer Trump's golf course, tweet-swapping subsidies for savings accounts that mock the uninsured, satirical sting. Trump's big-hearted facade crumbles under ballroom blueprints, a gilded monument to megalomania amid furlough families foraging food banks. Virginia's economy quakes, Commuters curse canceled tunnels, and Spanberger's win screams shut down scorn. Pollsters peg it as the GOP's albatross, with Trump demanding filibuster nuking to ram through his revenge agenda. Emotional torrent. Picture a DC barista, badgeless and broke, skipping meals so kids eat, while Trump tweets filibuster fury from Florida fairways. This is cruelty cloaked as conservatism, a shutdown Shakespearean in its tragedy. To govern or to golf? He chose the latter, leaving America to starve. Enter the Republican recriminations, a circular firing squad more entertaining than Survivor. Trump distances from losers, poor candidate quality, his allies bleat, but insiders whisper the real rot. Trump's issue-blind bluster, chasing culture wars over cost-of-living cures. Jeff Flake, that anti-Trump holdout, spies first signs of fracture. Senators bucking filibuster calls, Rand Paul savaging tariffs, even MTG morphing from minion to malcontent. Green, QAnon queen and execution caller extraordinaire, now wars with party brass, slamming shutdown snap snubs and healthcare haplessness. I can see Republicans losing the majority if Americans keep living hand to mouth. No White House seat? Sour grapes from the space laser lady, who's at open war per semaphore. A huge problem for Trump as she gripes on The View about GOP gridlock. Ironic hilarity. The woman who peddled Jewish space lasers now lasers Trump for neglecting necessities. Her loyalty lapsing like a bad lease. Flake nods. GOP's drifting from dawn, with 2025's blue wave a warning sign for 26 midterms. Pew polls show Republican confidence in Trump cratering on foreign fixes like Ukraine, from 70% to 55%. Vivid vignette, a Senate cloakroom catfight. Graham genuflecting while Paul and Green plot palace coups, Trump tweeting disloyal from his throne. Emotional edge. This infighting isn't abstract. It's the death knell for democracy's guardrails. A party so fractured it can't filibuster its own folly. Peel back the policies, and Trump's true terror lurks. A personality as stable as nitroglycerin, marinated in narcissism and marbled with malice. Drunk with power, Maher's phrase captures the cocktail. Grandiose golf tweets amid shutdown suffering, threats to slash NYC funds like a mob boss muscle. His 60 Minutes denial, we have no inflation, mirrors Biden's blind spots, but with Trump's twist, blame Biden's ghost while ignoring his own tariff tsunamis. Leadership? A laugh riot. Breakfast with senators devolved to filibuster rants. Foreign policy fixated on buying Greenland redux. Domestic docket drowned in ballroom boondoggles. Sarcasm supreme. The stable genius who aced a dementia screener now flunks Economics 101. His vocabulary, a verbal vortex of beautiful walls and bigly, wins that fool no one but Fox zombies. Contradictions cascade. Rails against fringe garbage like trans rights, a la O'Reilly's Maher jab, yet his admin's biological reality edicts gut veterans' care. Emotional blaze. This man's ego eclipses empathy, a black hole sucking sanity from the body politic, voters craving normal, getting a neurotic showman whose mandate morphed to mandate misery. As Republicans roast, Democrats rise from 24's rubble, their 25 sweep a phoenix flight. Spanberger's indictment of Trumpian excess, Cheryl's utility freeze pledges, Mamdani's affordability assault, these aren't flukes. They're blueprints for 26. Strategist Joel Payne. If Trump keeps taking a sledgehammer to people's pocketbooks, that's an easy thing for Democrats to run on. Prop 50's passage thwarts Texas tricks, bolstering House hopes. Irony, Trump's vengeance fuels Dem vigor. His threats boomeranging like bad karma. Rhetorical rally. Imagine 26, Dems wielding wallets as weapons, flipping seats on shutdown scars and tariff tolls. Emotional uplift. This is hope's harbinger, a rebuke to rage, a call for compassion over chaos. O'Reilly's oracle rings true. Excuses walk, but Trump's shoes, tattered by hubris, need resoling. J.D. Vance, Don Jr., normal? Please, they're Trump clones in Cub reports. The verdict, unfit for the frayed fabric, he phrased further. America demands discharge from this demagogue's delusion. The revolution starts at the ballot, ends in the history books. Who's with me?